Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome guys. Today we're going to talk about, in the early Islam or around the time of the Mu'tazilas and the controversies between the Mu'tazila and the Atharis or Hanbali, the Asharis were actually supposed to come and settle the arguments. Okay, I'm just saying it like that. So there was the main divide was between the Atharis and the Mu'tazila. So on the one hand you have the Atharis, okay, and on the other hand you have the Mu'tazila and philosophers, okay. So this was the main divide at that time. So the Asharis were supposed to come and do like a synthesis. So you have a thesis, antithesis. The thesis at that time will be like the Asharis, the Atharis, and then the antithesis will be the Mu'tazila and the philosophers. So the Asharis were like trying to do like a synthesis, and that's why it actually appealed to, I think, a lot of people around that time, because they were actually trying to like synthesize between the two. So you have even the Imam al-Ashari. He was a Mu'tazili, and then he left it, okay, and then he tried to assimilate the two views together in a way. So that's what it's supposed to be. But now that the Mu'tazilas are gone, and the philosophers, they don't have like influence. Philosopher, when I say philosophers, falsafa that's a very different meaning, okay. People like Ibn Sina and those guys, okay. But anyway, that was like the main dichotomy between the two, and then the Asharis were supposed to synthesize the thing, okay. So they would say there are two extremes on both sides. The one extreme will be the Atharis, and the other extreme will be the Mu'tazila and the philosophers, okay. So you see people like Imam al-Ghazali even refuting the philosophers, okay. So it's not like that was what's supposed to happen. But the problem now is that the Mu'tazilas are gone, and the falsafa, those guys are gone too, like mainly. So the new the new divide now is between the Asharis and the Atharis. So they found they are the new two enemies now. So they don't want to agree with each other, because they have the Atharis and then you have the Asharis. So the Atharis, they will just accuse them that you guys are still, you have some influence from the philosophers and influence from the Mu'tazila, okay. And the Asharis will be like, of course, because those guys are not 100% wrong on every issue. We are here to like synthesize. They have some valid points, and you guys have some valid points, and we are trying to synthesize. I'm not trying to paint any picture here for the Asharis anyway, but the point is that's what was happening. So if you hear someone say like Asharism is not as old as Atharism. So the Atharis were, I have seen that Dr. Yasekodi say this. So the Atharis were there before the Asharis, okay, because it's a development, okay. It's a development that happened due to the controversy that was going on, okay. So you need to understand that. So guys, so generally, what do I think about this whole thing? The whole issue between the Atharis, Ashari, and even the Mu'tazila and stuff like that. I think if anyone wants to do, maybe we need a new synthesis. We need a new synthesis between the Asharis and the Atharis. Maybe we need that. And and some people are just purely neutral. See, don't think that Atharism is neutral. It's not neutral, okay? It's not neutral on this issue. They have affirmative statements. They are not neutral. Okay, a neutral person will be someone that doesn't even make any statement whatsoever, doesn't want to be involved in any of this. That will be someone that is neutral. Okay, so I wouldn't say that Atharism, even though they want to look like they are neutral, they are not neutral. Okay, they are also part of the whole thing going on now. So I think, of course, it's about God. We're all discussing what do we understand about God. Okay, that's the whole argument. That's what it's about. So, see, this is how I would divide it. On the one hand, you have people, the Mu'tazila and the philosophers. What they are really talking about is about God in and of himself. So you need to understand the distinction between something in and of itself and how it is perceived. Okay? If you studied like do you know Immanuel Kant? There's a Kant's war between the thing in and of itself and how it is perceived by a particular observer. Okay, so you have God in and of himself. Nobody knows that. Nobody has ever seen that. It's not just God, by the way, which I'll come to conclusion to anyway later. But the point is, the Mu'tazila and those philosophers, the reason why they reject the attributes or something like that is because they are talking about God in and of himself. And if you want to describe God, you're going to use terms that are from humans. So they want to remove all of that and leave God in and of himself. So they will say you cannot say anything, absolutely, you cannot say anything about God. That's what their conclusion will be from the point of view of the philosopher and the Mu'tazilas. Now, on the other hand is the Atharists that want to affirm some things about God. That this is how God has revealed himself, we have to take it like that. Okay? So that's their own view, that we don't negate anything. We have, this is how it is, we take it like that. Okay? So, of course, that Mu'tazila will be like, you are just this is anthropocentric, meaning you are using terms that are human being terms to describe God. That's impossible because of the ontological divide between us. So you cannot do that. Now, the Asharis, they were supposed to come and do a synthesis that, yes, this is how God has revealed himself, but we have to negate some stuff and leave God in and of himself also. We leave God in and of himself, but the terms that he has revealed himself with, we still accept them, but we leave the meaning to God or something like this. So that's what the Asharis will try to do, to be like, okay, nobody knows God in and of himself, okay, and any term we use will be human terms. So they will agree some parts with the Mu'tazila and the Falsafa people, and they will agree in some terms with the Atharis. That was what's supposed to be the synthesis, but unfortunately, now that the Mu'tazilas are gone and the the Falsafa are gone, the Asharis and the Atharis now see themselves as divide. Of course, I'm not saying the Atharis ever agreed to the Asharis, okay, but I'm just saying that was what was supposed to happen. So now, we that we are living here, we Muslims of today, we need to do our own synthesis, okay? Enough of all these polemics and shouting and rambling on things most people don't actually have any idea. See, we are talking about God here. You don't know. Do you know God? You don't know these things. You need to be humble enough to accept, like, at least you don't know that, okay? We're going to say what we think, but eventually, everyone at the end of the day say, I don't know how it is. I don't know something. You have to say that because you don't know, really. So I think we need to do our own synthesis using the things we've learned over the years. See, we have a vantage point of looking back, and we are not living in that era. Sorry about that, guys. So the point is that we need to stop the polemics and sit down and talk and make sure our language is clear. So another thing I want to point out is that a lot of people like ambiguous language. They use words that they don't understand. Okay, so for instance, creation. What is creation? You're going to have to define that, and two people can be talking about creation using different understanding of creation. So the point I'm making is that we need to do better job. We need to be much more clear, especially in the world today. All this fear mongering and this thing will not get us anywhere. It will just increase the amount of polemics that each group is just spewing against each other. So don't think you're just right and it should be self-evident. Try to be systematic and prove your point. Make your own arguments. We're all trying here. Okay, so that's my own advice especially for people of today, and I hope people actually take this on board. So let me see what you guys think in the comment section. See you guys later. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.